September 1939. It is late summer in Eastern Europe. The plains of Poland are shattered by 1.5 million men of the German Wehrmacht. Spearheaded by 2,750 tanks, and supported by over 3,000 aircraft, they smash across the Polish border and run smack into an ill-prepared Polish army. Although the Poles fight courageously, they are no match for the ferocity of the German onslaught. This is the invasion of Poland, and signaled the start of the 20th century's greatest conflict. This is World War II. The Germans started preparing to invade their eastern neighbor months before the operation started. These not only included the buildup of men and materiel, but also included propaganda against the Poles, as a pretext for the invasion. Weeks leading into the invasion, the Germans were looking for any excuse to launch an attack. They managed to concoct a plan, which culminated in the Gleiwitz incident on August 31, 1939, when a group of Germans staged an attack on their own radio station. They made it look like it was attacked by Poles, and broadcasted a false call to the Polish in Germany to rise up against Hitler. This incident, along with others, were used as a pretext to attack Poland. Unlike the Germans, who was ready for action by September 1st, Poland had initially not mobilized, thanks to British and French pressure, who feared provoking the Germans. They reasoned that a Polish mobilization would only give Hitler a reason to disturb the relative peace in Europe. This meant that the day after the Gleiwitz incident, September 1, 1939, the Poles were hopelessly ill-prepared for the German onslaught. The Germans planned to attack from three directions, from the north through Prussia, while the main attack came from the Polish western border with eastern Germany. The southern thrust came through the German puppet state of Slovakia. For the invasion, Germany committed no less than 2/3 of all their infantry. The other 1/3 were left on the western border to provide a buffer to the expected British and French response. The German plan was to finish the war before the Western Allies had a chance to mobilize their armies. They committed almost all of their panzer, or tank units for the invasion. The army groups to the north and south had orders to smash through Polish lines and encircle their armies to meet somewhere near Warsaw. The Polish defense plan relied on delaying the German forces, giving time for the British and French to mobilize their forces and attack Germany from their western border. It also called on protecting its most valuable regions in eastern Upper Silesia, where its most valuable industrial base and natural resources was located. The invasion finally began on September 1, 1939. In the early hours, German battleship Schleswig-Holstein opened fire on a Polish military transport depot in the free city of Danzig. From the early days of the invasion, the folly of the Polish plans were exposed. Most of the Polish units were not mechanized, and suffered from poor communications, leaving them vulnerable to encirclement by German forces. The Germans used for the first time a combined arms technique that the world would come to know as Blitzkrieg. It called for rapid movements of ground forces, supported by air power, to punch through the enemy's front line and pour through the breach, paralyzing the enemy's ability to fight by sowing confusion and wreaking havoc in the enemy's rear. The Luftwaffe bombed Polish forward airfields, destroying most of the Polish Air Force on the ground, and quickly established air superiority. The German attacks were such that Polish units were forced to retreat after the first few days of intense combat. German superiority in arms and numbers, coupled with revolutionary Blitzkrieg tactics, quickly overwhelmed the Polish defenses. The Poles, however, put up a spirited resistance. They attempted to counterattack near Warsaw in the Battle of Zura. However, superior German tactics, air power and numbers eventually destroyed the Polish armies in 10 days of intense battle. In the 2 weeks following the invasion, Polish defenses in western Poland had all but collapsed. The Poles retreated towards the southeast, before ending up near the Romanian border. This gave the Polish High Command an opportunity to escape. Although Britain and France had declared war on Germany on 3rd of September, they provided no meaningful military assistance, apart from a half-hearted French thrust into western Germany. The entry of the Soviet Union from the east on September 17, 1939, signaled the start of the end of Polish resistance. Although the Poles had a treaty with the Soviet Union, the Soviets broke this treaty, with the pretext of protecting the Belarusian and Ukrainian population. However, in reality, this was prearranged with Germany through their non-aggression pact, brokered by their respective foreign ministers. This pact not only declared a friendship between the Soviets and the Nazis during the invasion, but also secretly partitioned Poland between them. Poland could not survive a war on two fronts. When 33 Soviet divisions crossed the border, it doomed the Polish efforts to resist, despite their great determination. Warsaw was surrounded, and its defenders were mercilessly attacked from the air and the ground until it surrendered on 27th of September. The last Polish resistance was snuffed out after the Battle of Kock, where remnants of the Polish army was surrounded and forced to surrender by the Germans. When faced with two powerful neighbors to the east and the west, and with no assistance forthcoming from the British and the French, Polish resistance collapsed, inflicting a defeat on the brave Poles. For the Germans, the invasion taught them valuable lessons that were valuable in the coming conquest of Western Europe. For the Soviets, it gave them additional territories and influence in Eastern Europe. But it was not the end for the Poles. Their government escaped to France and then to England, where they fought with Britain until the end of the war.